Are you scared? You know, I am you. I'm coming closer. I will catch you. The time it goes tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Are you afraid of the dark? Are you scared? I am you.
Hello, abnormal family. I hope everybody's doing all right tonight. We finally got everything straightened out. Our number one feed we had up tonight, that all the links we put out, they were mass reported. So I had to make another one. They're that jealous that they want to go in and mass report us right before the show. Makes me feel good. Lets me know that I'm doing something right. Whenever you got attention on you like that, then that means they're afraid, right? Oh, we have a show for everybody tonight. It is going to be a good show. I'm going to go ahead and bring Jessie in. I think we got a lag problem tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. We're going to see how bad the lag is and see how we can get that worked out and how the show can proceed. But we do have everything lined up, and I got a few things to show you all tonight.
Hello, everyone. How is everyone tonight?
Checking the lag.
Well, you seem to not have much of a lag on my end.
Okay, I'm hoping we don't have a lot of lag, but I'm thinking we may have.
Yeah. It doesn't sound, I don't know, it doesn't sound bad.
Okay. long as we're good, we'll go with it. I'm going to
Okay.
go ahead and let you go with the prayers. I'll let you do the everybody that's in the prayer group that needs prayers. We'll start it off with that tonight.
Well, I apologize. I haven't had a chance to actually look in the prayer group tonight. So I'm just gonna keep going with what we had the other night. So still continue prayers for Kat's grandmother. Please continue prayers for Connie and Letitia Nunley, Stevie B and Moggs, of course, because of the loss of their family, of Stevie B's father, and Lisa Ann's sister Carolyn. Please keep everybody keep them in your prayers.
All right. With that being said, um, one thing I wanted to let's do a roll call real quick. I want to say hello to everybody before we jump right in. I always like to say hello to my family out there, my abnormal family. Hello, Dana Ortega, Michelle McGuire, Carolyn Rivera, Chester Robinson. Good to see you. Margie Burke. Looks like we got Iron Maiden in here, going to rock it out for us. It's Sabrina's here. Hello, everyone, again from AI Mod. We got Silver Bullet in here tonight, moderating. Dawn Moore, Chickadee, Dana, Affliction, and then Dana Ortega. We got the two Danas, Norman Napier, Sharon Guy, moderating tonight. We got a lot of faces in here. CRJ is in here tonight. There's Mr. Tim Wrestler in here tonight. Good to see you. God bless you for that. We appreciate that as always, Tim. And am I missing anybody that has came through the chat? Hopefully not. We have one heck of an encounter I took today for you guys. It is going to go deep down the rabbit hole. We're going to have fun with it tonight. And hopefully we can all walk away from it with having learned something. That is always the goal. Hello, Sunshine. Good to see you. Glad you was able to make it.
Just now a loud sound. See, there's a lot of issues going on tonight with YouTube. I don't know.
What's wrong?
She said that she wasn't even, she just had sound. The show wasn't showing up.
Well, whenever I went to log on, I'll let everybody know kind of what happened. I could see everybody in the lobby. Everything was running as it should until I went to go live. And when I hit the live button, it dropped down a menu. It said this stream has been reported and is under review. So no action could be taken at the time. Somehow it said that we were talking about unaliving ourselves before we was ever live. So how that even fits in, I have no idea, because I don't even know how you could talk about it when you're not even live yet. But it doesn't bother me. I mean, I just jumped on the laptop, made another stream. It just shows me how big of a threat I am. And I know why I'm a threat, because I'm speaking truth and we're speaking the word of God and not the deception of God. And speaking of that, while we're rolling into that, for some reason, I feel like I just need to talk about this a little bit. There was a comment made the other night on another channel, and I'm sure y'all know who it was, and it really bothered me. And there's been a lot of misconceptions coming out of that channel, especially about the Word of God. And yeah, Iron Maiden, exactly. And he made the statement, and he was trying to tell everybody in chat that Satan and Lucifer was two different people. And that's completely false. Satan and Lucifer are the same person. Lucifer is when he was reigning in heaven with God. Satan was the name given to him when he was cast from heaven as a lightning strike to earth. Then he was called Satan. You got two different names, same person. Don't be fooled by the lies. Remember, he is the king of lies. He is the king of the air. He's the king of this. You can just see where he's at with the evil that's going around. And another thing he said is, he said that Satan lives on Saturn, guys. You don't have to. Satan's on Saturn. That's not true either. The Bible, if you go to Revelations 2:13, tells you exactly where Satan's throne is seated. His throne is seated on earth, actually in Pergamum. If you don't believe me, you can go look that up for yourself. It's Revelations 2:13. It's in the Bible, the Word of God. So it was important for me to say that God's Word, our Father, has been deceived again. And a lot of people are being led into darkness by deceitful words. And it was important for me to get that out. Moving on, I'm going to be dropping a Patreon video. And the reason I'm dropping it Patreon because it is a very strong PG-13 that was sent in to me about an encounter. Could not drop that on YouTube if I wanted to. It would not fly. It would be flagged immediately. It is a very good encounter. It will be dropped on Patreon. If anybody is interested in joining Patreon to see them videos that we have on there that we cannot release is the bottom tier. We're not doing $50 tiers. We're doing the very minimum so everybody can see them. It's just we're able to release things there we can't release here. And Jessie probably has the link that she can throw up in the chat since she's taking Randy's job for him. No?
I don't have Patreon's link, no.
Okay. It's okay. There is an interview, Ashtar. It was an interview that I conducted with a person that alleged to be a vampire that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. A lot of information. Thank you, Dana. We cannot allow evil to succeed.
I think I do have the link.
Good. Looks like we got a lot of people in here tonight. We will get to it just as soon as we can. Guys, for all your roofing needs, don't forget Larry Fisher. If you need to get any roofing or anything done, shout out to Larry. If y'all need his information, you can contact me, and I will get you the information, his phone number, or whatever you need. I will be boots on the ground. Thursday, the 13th, will be a boots on the ground at 8:30 p.m. So anybody looking for the boots on the grounds, that's whenever we will be boots on the ground. Will be be Thursday, the 13th at 8:30 p.m. The Wolf Lady is going to be joining us on the 12th this month live, guys. She's going to be live. She's going to come on and share some of her encounters with us. And then right after that, on the 13th, we're going to have Travis Carpenter. He's going to be showing up, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that his dad went through. Still talking about the Sasquatch Awareness Project, the DNA, denied and everything, evidence denied, the lies and everything. So we're going to be visiting with him. And then after the 13th to 20th, guys, we got Mr. D.A. Roberts is going to be joining us from DA's Ex Machina. He's going to be on the show on the 20th. And then the 22nd, Lon Strickler is going to be joining us. So we got a line of guests that's going to be coming on the show, some really good guests, and I'm excited to speak with them. And we got a little surprise for you guys. On the 12th, when the Wolf Lady comes on, Mr. Chris Cyrus is going to be co-hosting with us that night to speak with the Wolf Lady. So it's going to be a really good night. And the dog starts barking. That's pretty much. Worked. Did it go in?
Yes, I did it. Yes, and I do have a lag.
Yeah, there is a lag.
I'm bad. I'm lagging really bad.
I thought there was a lag. So, guys, if we talk over each other, it's not on purpose. There's a huge lag. I have a lot of things on my end streaming. It causes a lot of that. So I apologize, but we will do the best we can. We'll do like a 5-second in between. Maybe, I don't know, like some kind of radio talk or something. That's all I've really got before we start the show. We are working on getting another guest on that is confirmed he will come on. I just don't have a date for him, and it's another new face. And Belinda, you know who it is, and he confirmed today that he will be coming on the show. So Belinda will be excited about that. That was somebody that Belinda helped recruit.
Yep.
And we're going to give Tim Wrestler a wrench tonight. Tim, how would you like to have a wrench? If we get attacked, you should get attacked, right? All right. Before we start this this encounter that I took today, guys, this is what I would like to say. What you're going to listen to is an encounter that I took. Now, this person is giving an encounter. We wasn't there. We couldn't confirm it. So it is an alleged encounter, okay? What he's saying to me is allegedly. So what you're going to have to do tonight is you're going to have to be the investigators in this show, and you're going to have to determine what you believe what you don't believe, and put it together. We know that in every folklore and in every story that there's a little bit of truth. I have no reason to say that this man is not being truthful. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you have to take this, each individual, and look into it yourself and look at it from your perspective of what you know from history and see where you go, what you believe. A lot of this makes a lot of sense to me, what he said. A lot of it I know. I'll save that. Jessie doesn't have any idea what's coming because she tried to get that information out of me today. And I told her that I'm not going to tell her because I always like my co host to get to hear it the first time so we get their actual reaction and they
Mm.
can, have to just do it right on your feet, I
So,
guess.
yeah, so lucky. I'm so lucky.
Yes, Dana Ortega, Mr. D.A. Roberts confirmed today with me he will be on the 20th at 8:30 p.m. So yes, he will be on. DAX Machina, guys. That's the name of his show. Yes, Iron Maiden. That's exactly what we're asking everybody to do. Exactly. Listen to everything, then use your discernment. You never know when info can come in handy. That's exactly right. Okay, so guys, I'm going to throw a few of your comments up before we get started. Hello, it's Sabrina. And then Dana, Satan, take your lies on for so that's Satan's been busy today. Not today, Satan. But yeah, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start and get into this one. So, the gentleman we're going to be talking about tonight, his name is Drake. Is his name, and he said I would like to share a few things with you. I think you will find what I have to share today very informative. I know a lot of people in your chat may not believe what I have to say, but honestly, I don't give two sheets, he says,
Mhm.
because I am what I am and what they believe doesn't change a thing. He was very stern with what he had to say about that. The gentleman I spoke to today, he was very stern. He was an as if person. He told it that it was the truth and he didn't care what anybody thought because he was living it and he knows. And he said, you can do with this what you get. So he started off by telling me, he says, I am a true vampire. And I am pissed that some people have the facts about us totally wrong. He says, I went through the ceremony to become what I am whenever I was a very young child, a baby, in fact. Not long after birth, the first full moon after my birth was the ceremony that I became what I am. But what I am is not what y'all have learned from Hollywood. So don't let that fool you. Hollywood gives you bits and pieces of our lives, but never the complete truth. Some of it is overblown. Some of it makes you look at things a little too supernaturally, to look at us to be too strong than what we are. And some of it is underrated when we're better at things that they say we're not good at things. But there's always a little truth in a good story, he says, or a good film.
Mhm.
He says, we walk among you, yet remain in the shadows. We watch and we wait. Our presence felt but not seen. But tonight I choose to reveal my true nature to you, Mike. Tonight you will see beyond the veil that you all struggle so much to see past. My third eye has been opened for a long time. I reside in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and it was important for him that that be told. And I've resided there for a long time. I must say, I enjoy the sunrises and the sunsets on the beautiful lake. more so the sun setting, if you know what I mean. Our eyes see through the shadows, our ears hear the whispers of the wind. We are the ones who keep the balance, the ones who maintain the order of the night. This was a very intense interview. Um, if you could hear his words while he was speaking, he was very adamant at what he was saying. He was very powerful. Does that make sense? He was powerful.
Sure.
Not that he was more powerful. It was just very strong. It was emotional. It was as if it was like this is how it is. He says, "What are we?" I'm sure will be some of the questions that people in your audience would want to ask. So I'm going to do the best I can to try to answer questions that I think most of you would like to know. So a lot of you would ask, "What are we?" And we went into that conversation, and he says, "We are simply the keepers of the dark, the guardians of the unknown. We are the ones who exist beyond the fringes of the mortal society, yet we walk among you unseen and undetected, unless you know what you're looking for." And now I know that you all would probably, he said, like to know what we feed on and why we feed on it. You know, you look at the movies, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and you hear stories of Vlad the Impaler and all these people. Well, I'm here to tell you that Vlad was not a vampire at all. He was a great warrior, but he was not a vampire. What we feed on, he said, is simple. And I will make this as simple for you all to understand, to try not to get Mike in trouble on the. He knows that I can only. He knows the game. So he said we feed on the life force that runs through all living things. It's not just the red stuff we crave, but the very essence of the existence. We're not just sustained by it, we're bound to it. It's what makes us who we are. To truly take the life force from something and to feel it pulsate and to move through your veins and to know that you have consumed that life force is a sense of power that no one will ever understand. You gain a little bit of each person that you feed from: knowledge, strength, wisdom, and of course, longevity. So that's where he wanted me to take a break and to see what everybody in the audience said. He had pauses he wanted me to take for discussion. He was adamant about that. So we're going to go ahead and let Jessie give some of her statements and some questions that she may want to bounce back and forth with me. And I will be looking for people in the audience to give their opinions, and I'll throw them up as I see them.
I find that last part extremely disturbing. Gave me chills when you said it. Don't like that. Um, I, I don't know. I have questions, I know, and I don't really know what to say.
Shoot them out there. He said for us to feel free to do it. He said he will hold nothing against us. All Olivia, that is a good question. Yes, they can. He said that is superstition that they cannot be in the sunlight. He said they can absolutely be in the sunlight. They prefer not to be. The sun hurts their eyes, stuff like that. But he said we don't turn to ashes, we don't scream, we don't fry. He said, but yeah, he said we prefer the dark. But it's not that they can't go out into the light. And you'll understand why in just a little bit because he really goes into certain aspects of what they are. Bohica's got some.
Raven, Lady Raven asks, what happens to the person that they take the life force from? Do they die? And that would be my other question too.
See, and right there, it depends on the conversation we had. they have what they call feeders. These are people that donate blood to them pretty much, like willfully. And you're going to find out later in the show why they do that. I don't want to run it because we're going to go really deep into that also. He went into that as to why they would do that, because he said people think that people are crazy because they would want to sit there and then just give us, their blood. Why would they do that? What incentive is it for them to do that? And he said there's a huge incentive. And this is the thing that really blew my mind. He said, and this is exactly how he said it. I took the note how he said it. He said, Mike, it's happening right in front of your eyes, and I'm surprised that you and all the people haven't caught it. And we're going to go into that. He's going to tell you tonight who he thinks it is and what we've missed, because he says it's happening right in front of us.
Chester says, "Does he ever smile?" And Chester, from what I have come to, and I don't know, maybe somebody else knows something different. They don't actually have fangs. Is that correct?
Um, they do not have fangs. Um, they are usually worn if they so desire to attack like that.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
like
they're,
he said, you would put metal spurs on a rooster. He said.
and some of them actually wear like attachable, like they can actually put them on and take them off.
Yes, and if they decided to attack you and to feed that way, they have special ones that they can wear that are actually like hypodermic needles. He said that they can bite into and act like a what do you call it? A butterfly on a IV. He said pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Which,
And
before I got into some of this information, I have to say that I have seen people that have put in those fake, quote unquote, fake teeth, um, and have stated that they were vampires in the past. And now, from some of the new information that I have been learning over the last few weeks, um, that again seems to be a facade.
right. God bless you, Sunshine, for that. Thank you very much. If I miss any questions, moderators, please try to remember them for the end so we can get all questions. Please put all questions in capital letters, guys, so we can see them, and maybe add like a question mark at the end or something to show a distinct that you're asking a question, because chat's moving pretty fast right now. Um, we're going to go deeper, and I think y'all are going to be really surprised by some of the things he said. He does have places that I told him I would stop and we would have conversation. He was not happy that whenever his friend Vorik was on, that we just took the information pretty much, he said, put it out there and laid it on Vorik without us asking questions. He said, plain as day, if y'all don't give a sheet about what we're telling you, then we don't have to tell you. I will tell you, though, that Vorik and Drake are not happy with the other vampires. They're not what you would call their friends, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next pause area that we're going to go
Hi,
to.
hi, Connor. Connor hopped on. Hi, Connor. CRJ, Christie's Connor.
Oh, hello, Connor. Good to see you.
Mhm.
All right, everybody, get your questions ready. Remember, all capitals. That way we can catch them. He said, "What I'm saying is that we don't have to have blood to survive, like the movies say." He said, if we don't have blood, we don't get weak and we don't run around feeling like, oh, we have to feed, we have to feed, we have to feed. He said, that's not true. The reason that they do this, There's two reasons, really. Part of it is symbolic. And Jesus told us not to partake blood. These are not nice people. And that's the only way I know how to tell you. So they drink the blood. Symbolic. Another thing that he said is the blood keeps us enhanced. It keeps us young. A certain essence of it, a spark that gives us extended life. Once we have it, we're able to live far beyond the average lifespan of normal humans. It gives us somewhat of a slower aging process. He said, this is how he told me to say it so we don't get in trouble. He said, imagine adrenaline that rhymes with the other word. It is a necessity in helping them become stronger, have a better memory, to stay younger, to stay in shape better. And he said, I'm not talking like we outlive you by a little bit. And he said, we're not immortal, but he said, we live a long time longer than what you guys do. A long time, he said. He didn't give me an answer. I did ask him, how long do you live? And he said that was something that he did not want to tell me. Whatever reason. Was none of my business, I guess. He said, we do die and we don't live forever. He did make that, but he would not tell me a time. But with the blood and the life force, we can live years far beyond normal life expectancy, longer than you could probably even imagine. We see many things and watch many mortal friends pass away as we age. Hold on one second.
Yes, everybody, make sure you are hitting that like button and share this out too if you can. Due to the first one being mass reported, it would really help.
We would appreciate it a lot, guys, if you would smash that like button. It helps so much. So much. So I ask again, was he born as a vampire? Did he become one? And is German a vampire? Saint German? He didn't talk about that.
Saint Germain, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't talk about that. He did say that whenever he was born as a baby on the first full moon, he went through the ceremony to become what he is. So he wasn't born one. He was, I guess, made one. And Lady Raven Moon, vampires were all on it every day. That's how they suck the life force from them. And Lady Raven, if you will see in a little bit, you are right on track with some things that we talked about. How do they not get hepatitis or other things like AIDS from random blood? We spoke about bloodborne pathogens. He brought that up. And believe it or not, they are not susceptible to them. That's all he would say. He said there's some things that we're not ready to know. And he said we wouldn't understand it anyway. He was very pungent in some of the things that he said. He said, now, we try to live on the life force of animals. That is one of the main things that they try to do, the more peaceful ones. He said, we're not all evil and we're not all out to attack mankind. That is not what we're all out to do. But there is some that do, that prefer mankind, that hunt mankind. They're opportunistic. They're very smart. He said they're not dumb. They know where they can feed without drawing attention to themselves. Some like the human aspect, and a lot of us, believe it or not, become actors in a place that you all worship called Evil Woods. And you know what he's talking about. Holly, but he called it Evil Woods. But
okay.
He says we worship that place. And a lot of them are actors there, he said. Have been for a long time.
I don't believe that.
He said today I am going to give you knowledge that will disturb you and your audience, but what I say is true. We have one flaw, and that flaw is that we are what makes us mortal. Now, I'm going to help you understand, he told me, the difference in the mortal, immortal, and the four different kinds of the vampires. He said there's four different kinds, four main ones. He is not the strongest, but he is the second strongest. The strongest ones are what they call the royalty ones, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But he said the largest flaw that makes them to where they are, where they die, where they are mortal, he said, as humans would call it mortal. He said we die. We don't live forever. We do have an end of time. There is an end of time that, eventually catches up. How old? Again, we don't know. But he said what we do and what makes us weak is we are part human. That is our flaw. You see,
Okay.
our fathers were perfect, but they needed the human woman to have us. So we have now what you would call mortality. We are not immortal, anyways, not as we are or as we are. And we are children. We are the children of the perfect fathers, the true fathers, the ones who fly in the air. Mike, you might have called them the Nephilim. I imagine a lot of people in your audience are probably surprised at this point, but don't be surprised. Trust me, there's a lot of you out there that don't even know it that carry the Nephilim blood. That bloodline has existed before the flood and after the flood. You are an unknown abomination. Most of us try to drink the life force of the animals, cows, even people's pets if we live in town. But there are some that are rogue and they hate the homeless and they feed on the homeless. And I'm
Or an
supposed to call
unsuspecting college students that are away from their home.
it probably. Don Moore, what he was getting at, and that's a really good question you're throwing up there, kind of. He said if you are Nephilim blood in your body, you're going to know it because you will be contacted. Does that make sense? He said you will know.
Contacted like how? Contacted like alien abduction contacts? Contacted like shadow figures in the corner contacted? What's contacted?
Demons.
Aren't they all pretty much demonic? Whether they're
That's why he said
aliens
you.
or shadows in the corner?
He says they're all the same thing, and he'll go into that here in a minute. He's going to explain every bit of that. Yeah, he goes.
Uh,
It's going to go deep.
um, Chickadee asked if they can smell Christians.
If they can smell chickens.
Christians. Christians.
Oh
Those
yes,
who
absolutely, absolutely. He was very yes. They can see the glow from you. He said it radiate. It there's a radiance from you.
hmm, um let me go back. Don had also asked if anything drives them away and can they be unalived? Well, they're living, Don,
They can.
so yes, they can be unalived.
Yeah, he said that they can absolutely be unalived, and pretty much they're just about like us. He said that really the only difference is they have a little bit more strength. He said not like the movies where they're picking up cars and throwing them. He said we are mostly stronger. They're in better shape, better health. They're able to run long distances without tiring, or longer distances, I guess, than what we can. He said the best way he knew to tell me about that is, he said, just imagine back in the old days in the Colosseums and stuff. He said we're a lot healthier, a lot stronger, and a lot bigger.
Sorry, there's a lot
Yeah.
of good comments and questions, and
Oh yeah,
not necessarily questions, but there's
we have a lot of smart people in here tonight. I've been reading it too. Belinda, I don't know what the ceremony is, and honestly, I didn't ask. I think Vorik went into that. You might want to watch the other show. I think he kind of went into that a little more. Didn't he go into that? He spoke a little bit about that, remember? Whenever he got tired
yes,
and
the
woke
ceremony,
up.
yes.
Yeah, I think that was more him.
And yes, Don, that was kind of what I was questioning when you mentioned Dave Paulides, because anybody that follows Dave Paulides also knows about the missing 411 and the college students that ended up disappearing, actually in La Crosse.
Yeah, David Pilatus is if everybody knows David Pilatus, 411, and he's a big believer in the vampires, and he has a lot of information on them. And this person knows him, and he said that David has a lot of information, more than what they even like him to have.
Hmm.
So David is doing a good job, it sounds like. Again, guys, I am just passing on information. That is all I'm doing. He said they treat the homeless like sheep. They want everyone to see the homeless as a bother and that they need to be eradicated. If I remember right, he said when we was talking, he said, doesn't God say to be good to them or something like that? But he said, if you will notice, one of the signs of finding a true evil person, a true vampiric person, is a person that has hate for humanity. They attack children, the elderly, they are boastful, and they are narcissistic, and they will always hate the homeless.
Gee, that sounds familiar too.
There are three types of us. There are the sanguinarian, the psychic, and the hybrids, he said. And then you have the holy ones. You'll see why we don't talk about that a whole lot. He said, I am a sanguinarian. We consume very small amounts of blood. That is what we are. We are the bloodsuckers, he said you would call us. And then he said you have the psychic vampires, you may call them that, but honestly, what they are, honestly, he says, is they are called energy vampires. And he said, let me break down to you what an energy vampire truly is. And he said, what an energy vampire is, they are either a vampire or a person that has an attachment or a possession. I'm going to read that to you again, what he said. An energy vampire, they are either a vampire or a person that has an attachment or a possession. Vampires are not just like what you see in Hollywood. It's demonic, and humans need to get past that. It's an attachment or a possession that causes this. When he said that, that really hit me hard. I had never thought of that being a child. I'd always just thought of vampires, you know? Am I making sense? You know, like when I didn't associate, I mean, I knew they were evil, but I didn't associate them with demons when I was little. It was a vampire, you know, a wooden stake or a cross. And then
Well,
he's like, you know, you guys have got to get past that. It's a
that's
possession.
that's Hollywood's image of them that is portrayed and pushed upon us in the public. But
Right.
I mean, I've never seen much difference between. I honestly thought that the folkloric vampire was the demon possession. I never thought that, like, that's where it came from. I never took it as an actual physical human presence or physical presence. I always thought that that is where the folklores and the legends and the myths all actually came from. So when I started reading about things like Vlad the Impaler and stuff like that, it never made sense. Like, that didn't match where the theories or the ideas would come from. So growing up in my mind, the vampire was the demon presence, was the thing that would come in the shadows of the night, that would attach to the person and drain them, and depression and anxiety and struggles and grief and pain, and attach in that way. If that makes
Right.
sense.
And me as a child, whenever I viewed a vampire, I viewed a vampire as this guy that lived in a castle. He chased the pretty girl and he put the spell on her, and that was, I knew he was evil, and but I just didn't associate it with possession or a, like he said, a an attachment. This next phrase, guys, like I said, I'm only passing information on, so make your own Harold follows a vampire on YouTube. So make your own assessments, guys, as to what you take from this, what you believe. Like I said, this is information. This is for you guys. I'm not saying I believe every bit of this. I am merely passing on a conversation that was taken during an interview. That's what I'm giving you. Just to be clear. It was very important I said that for this next part. One of the things he said that you will notice about an energy vampire, he wanted to help me to try to figure out how to find out who they are. How would you know if you saw one in public what an energy vampire was? How would you know, he said. He said, I'm going to tell you. They love gold. You will see a lot of energy vampires, he said, wearing gold. And he said there's a reason that they wear the gold. They don't wear the gold because it looks pretty. They don't wear it because it's valuable. They wear the gold, he said, simply because it is a conductor. And he said, let me explain. They use it to steal your energy and to use the energy they gain from you to support their dark purposes. They can take your energy, absorb it to them, and use it for their darkness. And I said, what? And this is my question. What would some of their darknesses things be that they would need energy for? Two things, he said. Casting spells and astral projecting.
Hmm.
Some of the other things he said that you would look for in energy vampires is they do not like to be alone. A lot of them have anxiety, and they have a lot of dark purposes. They love to astral project or remote view, however you would want to call it. We call it the same thing, he says. And they live in groups like large families. They may not be blood family, but they will live in communities. And I'm talking, he said, in the same apartment. They will function as one family.
Hmm.
They are liars and they are deceivers. They like everything about them. They are very narcissistic and they love their appearance. The men, he said, are very feminine acting males. They would almost, he said, spend more time in the bathroom getting ready to go somewhere than an actual woman would. They care about their appearance to a point to where it is feminine. He said, as far as getting their nails done, plucking their eyelashes. That's his words.
Hmm.
Anybody have anything to want to say about that? That's the part, he told me to pause that because we go into another part in just a second. So that is your energy vampires.
Mhm. So are energy vampires affected in the same way as other evil demonic entities? Does Jesus Christ inflict fear into them?
He said they don't like to hear the word, but it doesn't make them leave. Because he said that's part of the lie that Hollywood is told. He said, we're part human. We die. We're just like anything else that would attack you. We're just on a higher plane.
So energy vampires could be preaching the false word of God.
He said they are deceivers.
Okay.
And now, as we move on to the next, he says there is what we call also hybrids. This is going to blow your all's mind. I'm telling you right now, this is going to blow your all's mind. It blew my mind. I was actually texting Jesse while I was on the phone with him. And I was like, Jesse, you're not going to believe this. Did I not?
Yeah, I think that's when I was vacuuming. I didn't hear it. You got mad.
He said there is also hybrids. They will be what we would call, he said, us humans, people, the worker vampires. They are pretty much the slaves. They are the ones that pretty much take care of us. They will take care of our homes. They will cook for us. They will do errands for us. We will pay for them to go to college to get degrees, but not for them, but for our benefit. It is not for us or for them. It is for us. And then a lot of you ask, why would they do this? Well, it's simple. We give them a home and we give them attention. They're to make sure that the others are taken care of. We take care of them. They're the worker. They're the worker bees of the vampires. There's another type that we call them. But we have to have people to watch out for us and to take care of us, and they're happy to do it. They will be the ones that will wear silver. And we'll go more into silver, he said, in a little bit. He said there is another type of vampire I can't go into that now, he says he can't go into it. He couldn't go deep into this one. But if you and Jesse want to know, that is another email, and that will be at your own risk in another show, if you're willing to take that ride.
Do I have an option in this if you decide?
You have no option.
Yeah, no.
He said a little bit about the ones he didn't want to talk about because I kind of pursued that. I was like, what are you talking about? Who is the other ones? And he was like, I really don't want to go into this right now because I'm not sure you want to know that. So what he told me was they are what they call the royalty ones, and they only mate with the purebloods, and they are considered the royalty ones, and they do not associate with us that much. We just know their rules and their laws, and we can't go around causing a lot of trouble, or they will unalive us. They have rules. They have boundaries. And they expect, he said, all of us to go by them, or there is heavy, heavy consequences. And when they're unalived, the vampires are beheaded and burned.
Sorry, I was reading Pink Pixie's comment.
And then he goes on and he says, the next question I know that your audience is probably going to wonder, does silver and steaks kill us? And garlic. Of course, he put garlic. He said, a steak and silver will kill me just as fast as it will you, Mike. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, we can be unalive just like anybody. And he said, garlic, yeah, I like it on my pizza. He said, it's not a factor. It doesn't bother him. He kind of laughed about it. But he said,
scared somebody said, did someone say steaks?
yeah. Well, he started joking a little bit, and then that's whenever he came back. I'm not going to say he contradicted himself, because he was laughing, but he redacted kind of what he said. I said, so
Redacted.
you would wear. I said, so you would wear silver? That wouldn't bother you? And he said the GD word, Mike. He said, if you want to know, then I'll tell you. He was kind of hard. He was stern. He said, no, we don't like silver, okay? But I really don't want to talk about the silver. And I said, what does silver have to do with anything? I pushed. He said, the reason that we do not like silver is because it has a symbolism to it. He said, it burns us, not like the movies, but it burns us. It causes us to become sick if we're around it a lot. And in the movies, he said, the reason our faces, he said, didn't show up in the mirrors is because back then the backing of the mirrors were silver. And I told him, I said, I don't understand what you're talking about, man. You know, I just been straight out. I was like, why would silver matter, right? This is what he said. He was pissed off. I'm not going to lie. He was not happy. And we're going to have a break after I say this because he told me to take a pause because he said Jesse would probably really take this hard because she went to, he said, a religious school, a private school. He said, the reason that we don't like silver is because this act of betrayal is symbolically cursed. It makes silver is a weapon against us and the undead and the unholy, including us vampires. The reason silver is not liked by us, he said, is because it is associated with purity and it is considered a powerful antimicrobial agent, which further enhances its role as a ward against the creatures of the darkness. He said churches use silver a lot also in a lot of their ceremonies with Jesus Christ. Except for the one church deception that uses gold, and I will leave that there for now because I really don't want to piss off your audience, he said. He said, the reason silver became so important is because that's what Judas betrayed Jesus with was 20 pieces of it. So it became symbolic and something that they can't be around. I'm just sharing information. Iron Maiden, it doesn't. He said it's your faith. They're pretty much like souped up humans. Any words?
Yeah, because we jumped ahead. So I swear I can remember. Didn't you say something? I don't know if it was in a show or outside conversation. Didn't you make a comment too about the silver in the mirrors, the original, the mirrors?
Yeah, I've talked about it.
Okay. Um, and the other thing about
Yeah, Mikey.
Judas and the silver and the theory behind that, um, um, well, I guess it wasn't really a point of topic, but there's the, now correct me if I'm wrong, but the misconception that Judas betrayed Jesus for the silver. But in my teachings, Judas didn't actually betray Jesus, in the concept that we have often been led to believe. Judas was one of Jesus' closest best friends, and Judas was given that job to betray him, that he was the only one who could betray him in that aspect because nobody else would, and Jesus told him to go and tell the soldiers where he was. So I question then the silver, the purity. He did that out of his faith and love for Christ, and knowing that only he could do the job that God had given him to do. So is that part of it too?
My belief and understanding as far as scripture on that is that Jesus was, he knows all. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He sees the world from the end to the beginning, not the beginning to the end. It wasn't that I was taught that he told Judas to go betray him. He already knew that Judas would betray him. He knew that even his 12 disciples that had seen him and had saw what he had done. I mean, they even went to sleep as he prayed in the garden. He knew that even though they had seen everything that he could do, that they were still weak, that they still questioned him. And he knew that Judas would sell him out. So for the 20 pieces of silver, he sold him out. Now, Jesus had the choice at the time. He could have called upon 10,000 angels at any time to come and rescue him. He chose not to because he loved us enough that he went to the cross. But the silver is, from my understanding, that the 20 pieces was the betrayal of Christ. It was Judas betrayed him because Judas ended up hanging himself after that because he had knew what he had done. He had betrayed the Son of God.
Mm. Oh, this is an interesting question. Oh, I guess I read that wrong. I don't really want to know about that one. Yeah, what does he what do they say about Christ? I mean, obviously,
He said it's not their favorite topic, but it doesn't repel them.
well, obviously it's not their favorite topic because it's not something that they're the opposite. It's evil
His
than
exact his exact comment to me was, "If I'm coming after you to hurt you, you'd be better off to have Smith and Wesson with you," he said, "than to try to, rebuke me." They're
but
human.
then what does that say for him when he is gone and he does die?
They choose that path for what they gain here. Okay, without getting myself in trouble, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to go down this road very far, but they're rich, they're powerful, and they sit in the highest seats. They make a lot of important decisions for us without getting us
Yeah.
in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, I believe that. But you tell anybody that. Yeah, okay.
And this is where he kind of like threw something at me. He's like, a lot of vampires in the movies, and he said, I don't think people associate a lot of this with the movies as, vampires turn into bats or the mist of the fog that comes through the window. He said, yeah, we are able to do that. It is called shape shifting in your culture, Mike. He said, just ask your ancestors. And I told him, I said, so you're telling me that shape shifting is the same thing as you all turning into a bat and stuff? And he said, it's all the same thing. He said, I watched your shows and the shaman told you that it all is the same thing. They just look different. And he said, they couldn't be more right.
So what's the difference between a shape-shifting being and one that is there all the time? So for example, Bigfoot is a shapeshifter?
No, there's different steps. Bigfoot, he said, is not like them. They're different. They come from the same thing, but different.
Okay.
He said a lot of vampires are physically attractive. They take care of their bodies. They work out a lot. They have a lot of energy. He said, and this is a part that really blew my mind is whenever he said this, because whenever he said this, it really makes my mind go. And he said, our father was very beautiful that we came from. He was very well spoken. He could make you believe anything if it was true or not. And he played the most beautiful music for all of us, and he still does.
Gee, I know that sounds like.
Yeah, I did too. And that was exactly where my mind went whenever he said that. And then toward the end of the conversation, he said, we are actually friends with the witches. We work with the witches. A lot of people believe that the witches created us. He said the witches did not create us. The witches are the same with us. We all serve the same God. But if you want to look into witches, Mike, I think it would make a great show for you, he said. And then he told me this is the part, guys, and I will type it out in case anybody doesn't understand how I say it. So you have the name. It was important that I said this. He said, I would like to give a shout out to Jur, I believe is how you pronounce it, Grondo, and say happy birthday. He is the true Strigan. And Vorik sends his love. And the name that he gave me is this. I will spell it out because I probably didn't pronounce it right. And that is where we ended our conversation. And he said that if we wanted more information, that I could email him and we could set up a time to talk. But he feels like that he may have given us probably more than what we're even able to digest at this point. It's one that really makes you think. I don't think I've ever
Put it that way. Yeah.
had an interview like that. Exactly, Don. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
I'm sure each and every one of us has run across them at some point in time. You know, you ever get that chill down your spine in the middle of a public street as people are walking by? I'm sure it's one of them.
right. He says they walk amongst us.
They work amongst us. Probably your boss. I mean, for anybody that is
He
working,
said
anyways.
he said they're in the highest places.
They're in our governments. The government. They're in the biggest companies and corporations that are running us, that are feeding us, supplying us, medicating us, entertaining us.
Sabrina, do you know a lot about vampires? I was kind of looking at some of your chat. Is it something you've had to deal with, or do you maybe know a little bit? I want to let you answer. Yeah, Ursa, I'll love to interview anybody. If I could do that interview, I can do about any of them. That was, I mean, I've done some bad interviews, with people on normal crimes and stuff, but man. I hope not, Infinite. I hope it don't get a lot worse. Thank you, Victoria. We loved having you here. Thank you so much. And if y'all are subscribed or not subscribed, and we'd like to ask you to subscribe, join us, ring the bell, select all. And if you are older and you haven't been here in a while, check and make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube's good at unsubscribing you, so you do get the notifications if you have to leave right now. She says, no, but I've been into this rabbit hole for a long time. So are you just a studier of it, Sabrina? Is that what you're in? Yeah, email me for sure, or so. I would love to speak with you. The way he kind of made it sound to me, Dana, was they are not this supernatural being. They're more human. He said that was a lot of the misconception. Does that make sense? That was kind of one of the things he pushed is Hollywood has made them out to be stronger, faster. And he said, yeah, we are, but not by the extent that they put it at. I asked him that question, Don, and his answer to me was they do not have to be told they can come in. But if your house has a weak person that is a non-believer or something like that, that they can attach or come in through them. But if you're a Christian and you have your armor of God on, your house prayed up, and you have no weaknesses in your house, and they can't come in, he said. Finette, she said, we are just food for the gods.
That's a huge theory for some people too that study this stuff, and I can't believe that myself.
Chickadee, we didn't talk about that. I didn't get into that. I believe that too, Tim. I don't know Iron Maiden. You'd have to get with him. Dana, whenever I would go to talk about that, that was something that he said if I continued to talk about that, it would end our discussion. He wouldn't push his beliefs on me. He said if I wouldn't push mine on him. He told me that I did not want that war. Yeah, Sunshine, I know. Sunshine had a really bad incident on an airplane just recently. But imagine the angelic technology used to create and manipulate DNA can produce infinite variations on vampire kin as well as shapeshifter, etc. Exactly, Romans. That was said perfectly. And that's what he said. He said, those shaman know more than any of us do about this. Because I told him what the shaman had told me when I'd done the Bigfoot thing with the wolf lady. And he said, they're absolutely right. He said, evil fears the natives because the natives, he said, have lots of knowledge. I don't know, Belinda. He didn't go into that. He never went into that.
Again, that Belinda's comment just makes me wonder too. The other questions that I've questioned myself, and nobody talks about it either, is the DNA, the again that goes into the history and the ancestry and the blood types and the lines. So, like when 23andMe was breached and all of those records were pulled and hacked and leaked out, if you go back and look at any of those original reports, the main breach, the reports that ended up being searched for was anybody of Jewish descent as well.
Chickadee,
they didn't care about
talk
anybody else. Sorry, just
right.
so. I mean, again, the chosen bloodlines, the original bloodlines. What is? I think that there is a link there between all of it.
Then you have to ask yourself: was it the powers that be? Was it them trying to get it, or was it the actual vampires that have those positions collecting it?
Right. I just
You
don't.
know,
I think it was the point that they made. Even it wasn't just that there was a breach. The fact that they had to point it out too, that it was those of the Jewish bloodlines, those of the Jewish ancestry, the history, the genetics. Why? Another reason why I say don't do those DNA tests. If you haven't done those DNA tests, don't do those DNA tests.
yeah, it was a very interesting interview. He knows that I felt that he was not the easiest person to interview. He was narcissistic. I mean, he met kind of what he talked about. Um, he made it a point to talk about that he lived in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and he knew about your religious teachings. He told me to tell you that. I was supposed to tell you that.
Well, I've talked about it before on the show.
I don't know. That's just what he told me to tell you. He can call you. I don't know. I'm just relaying information.
No, he doesn't need to call me. It's fine. But yeah, I've talked about my schooling on the show before. Um, everyone missing on 401 is Jewish also. Well, I've heard that they were of German descent or German. I didn't know about. Shush your face, Pink Pixie. Um, but
Thank
yeah,
you for
again, the
that, Mark.
401. Thank you, Margie. The 411. Yeah, and La Crosse. The fact that he pointed out that he's in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Again, anybody that has followed the 411 and David Paulides, and that was one of the things that first got me into. I've always been following paranormal, but I worked with a woman whose nephew was one of those boys out in La Crosse who was found in the river. He was one of the last ones that was found deceased. And I believe there was like 8 of them. I'd have to go back and look again, but that's what actually first got me into or falling into the studying and stuff, because it was that, and then I found Dave Paulides through looking into his strange disappearance, and then from Dave Paulides and the Bigfoot and the UFOs, which again kind of fall into, but it was just a snowball effect from there. But those boys all ended up under strange circumstances, missing and dead in La Crosse.
And that's where he resides, or that's where he says he resides.
And those boys also were found days after the fact, and upon checking them, I guess through like they had only been dead for less than 24 hours or something, even though they had been missing for like 3 days, with high alcohol or high contents of alcohol. They claim alcohol. There was something else in them too, and I can't remember. I'm not going to say what. I don't remember what it was, but the same concept of basically drug induced, making them. They claim they fell into the river. It's the whole thing is just, yeah. You check out the 411 stuff, but again, La Crosse.
And he also did say that they are able to hypnotize people if people allow them. He said hypnotism has to be allowed. You have to like allow them to do it to you. He said you can like walk away, break away from it, but if you allow them that, they can do that. It was a crazy, crazy interview. Maybe we'll have him back and talk about some more. I don't know. It is mesmerizing. That's right, Sabrina. It is very mesmerizing. Um, one of the most unique interviews I've done. But that's all I have from him, and I don't want to speculate on anything. I mean, this is one of those guys, you take it as, I'm just giving you what I had, and we just have to go from what somebody told us. He is an alleged vampire, and what he has told us, we have to decipher it and figure out for ourselves what we think and what we believe. Um, he's probably in chat, Chester. That would be my guess that he's probably watching. I'm sure he probably is.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, I'm sure he's probably going to watch us for a while. We've probably got his attention. But I think we got the attention of a bunch of them. Guys, we got Boots on the Ground coming up. Would be the 13th coming up. We got a Patreon we're going to be releasing. We can't release, of course, on the regular video. And the Wolf Lady will be with us the 12th. Will be our next live. Will be the 12th. And that will be a live with the Wolf Lady. And then the 13th with Travis Carpenter. And Jess, if you want to, I guess, walk us out of this one best as you can. I don't even know how to end this. I don't know what my final thought is quite right yet.
Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. Please make sure, everyone, that you are liking. Share this out. Don't let the haters and the trolls, keep us down. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. This is going to be a very difficult one to do. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Love and support. Love the support that you give us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. We appreciate you. Please stay prayed up. I know I am. God bless. Take care of each other. And take care of each other. Yeah.
Guys, I just want to thank you all for showing up, supporting us tonight. It was an interesting interview that I done. I enjoyed doing it. I got a lot more that I'm going to do. We're going to do a lot more of these as long as I have the time. I'm going to continue to do more investigations. That's what I'm better at. That's what I used to do. It was my job. I'm going to pursue that in this field and put a lot of what I learned in with this as best as we can and see what we can come out with, what we can determine. Hearts for the boys. Thank you so much for that, Hunter. I love you. I miss you so very much, and I can't wait to spend time with you. That will be soon. I stand on that in God's name, and I just want everybody to know that when you die, and the way I believe is when you die, you go one of two places, and the only way to heaven is through the Son. And you have to go through Jesus. He is the way, the only way. There is no other way. So I proclaim that, and Jesus is my Lord. He is my Savior. Until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner, and we'll see you on the next one. Good night. God bless.
Good night, everyone.